gets mad when I do this, but Mike's 60, man. I don't know. What do you guys think about it? Who gives a shit what I think? It's not my fight.
In a surprising turn of events, Dana White has slammed Jake Paul for fighting Mike Tyson. And now, White's explosive condemnation of Paul's choice to fight Tyson has sent shockwaves through the combat sports world.
You know, I love Mike, and I hate talking about it because he always gets mad at me when I talk about this stuff, but when the fight happens, he'll be 58 years old. It'll be a 31-year age difference. You know, Jake Paul did fight a kid his age, and he lost. I just saw this thing on the internet yesterday. If he beats Mike Tyson, he's going to fight Clint Eastwood next. Clint Eastwood's 93 years old.
On the verge of Jake Paul, if you want to be taken seriously as a fighter,
But he doesn't.
You know,
It's,
so
he doesn't want to be taken
that's
serious.
where I'm getting.
What
at.
Jake wants is Jake wants to make money. The people that follow Jake Paul don't buy Jake Paul's fights. So Jake Paul has to fight people who can actually sell pay-per-views.
Amidst the media frenzy around this fight, Canelo Alvarez engaged in dialogue with Fight Hub TV about his upcoming fight. However, when the interviewer posed the question regarding Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul, the champion remained silent.
Canelo,
Thank you, gentlemen.
what about Jake Paul and Mike Tyson? Canelo,
Thank you.
what about Jake Paul and Mike Tyson? What do you think about that fight?
Alvarez expressed his disapproval with a shake of his head before departing without verbalizing any response. Although he refrained from commenting directly on the bout, his departure spoke volumes about his stance on the spectacle. Well, it appears that Canelo has some issues with Tyson. In a separate incident, it was reported Alvarez said that he would respect Tyson's opinion if he were sober. Michael Benson tweeted on X saying, Canelo Alvarez asked if he respects Mike Tyson's opinion after Tyson called for him to fight David Benavidez. I'd respect his opinion if he was sober. Meanwhile, renowned boxing guru Teddy Atlas recently shared his insights regarding the imminent showdown pitting Paul against Tyson. In a recent installment of The Fight with Teddy Atlas, the esteemed boxing coach and commentator unveiled his unique perspective on the match.
He had a vision. He came from YouTube, 20 million followers, whatever. He had a vision that he was going to get into boxing, and he acted on that vision. He said, I got to get a trainer. I think he's been through a couple trainers now. He said, I got to get a trainer. I got to learn the sport. I got to work. I got to respect the sport, and he did. And he picked his opponents as carefully as he could.
However, instead of seeing Tyson as the primary threat, Atlas perceives Jake Paul as the one shouldering the greatest risk. He highlights that regardless of the outcome, whether victory or defeat, Paul's image stands to suffer. Atlas opined, I think this is a very dangerous fight for Paul. I think early on, I think he might be making a mistake because, first of all, for me, he doesn't have a lot other than money, and he's made plenty of money. Atlas expressed his belief that the fight poses significant risks for Paul, especially early on. He noted that aside from financial gain, which Paul already has in abundance, there isn't much benefit for him in winning, since people could simply attribute his victory to the age of his opponent, who is 58. He added, there's not a lot to win on his side because if he wins, they say he's 58 years old, you know. And if he loses, they say he's 58 years old, you lost to a 58-year-old guy. Atlas proceeded to point out that Tyson actually stands to lose considerably less in this particular match. Furthermore, he praised Iron Mike and his entourage for their remarkable achievement in positively transforming Tyson's life throughout the years. Atlas said, for me, he's got a lot more to lose than Tyson. A lot more. I mean, Tyson, whatever they're paying him, he's been making good money, you know. He's come back, like I said, in his life. He further expressed that, in comparison, Tyson has less at stake in this match. He commended Tyson and his team, particularly highlighting the role of his wife, for their successful efforts in turning Tyson's life around. He added, he's done a good job having the people around him. I guess his wife is part of that, obviously, where they've done a good job to get him on the track they've gotten him on. On the flip side, UFC sensation Conor McGregor argues that the matchup between Tyson and Paul lacks appeal, dismissing any significant interest in the bout. Similarly, his coach John Kavanagh did not hold back from voicing his disappointment about the fight.
Dealings with
Sure.
like, I don't know whether there's a wink and a nod behind the stage. Is Tyson going to be 60?
58.
58? Full force blows to the head at 58? No, it's not.
No matter who you are.
No matter who you are. You don't need to be doing that. It was kind of exhibition and it's kind of sparring. Great. Because I was asked about not necessarily just Mike, but this kind of YouTube boxing stuff. And my take on it now rather than being snobby about it, is like, I just love anything that gets more kids involved in sport.
The coach of the Irish fighter has raised doubts about the match, suggesting that the spectators might not necessarily be aficionados of elite-level boxing. John Kavanagh said, "I just think the majority of those people are not going to be really high-level boxing aficionados. What are they really watching it for? They want to see a good press conference, maybe a bit of shoving and shouting, whatever else they put on." Kavanagh expressed his belief that most of the audience might not be highly knowledgeable about boxing. He speculated that their interest might be more in the entertainment aspects, such as press conferences and the spectacle of the event, rather than the sport itself. He added, "They will want to see a spectacular event, lighting, fireworks, and great walkouts. But once it goes click, they don't really know what they are looking at or have massive interest. Their stomachs wouldn't be able to see hard fighting." He further stated that the audience would likely prefer the event to be spectacular, featuring things like lighting, fireworks, and dramatic entrances. However, he mentioned that once the actual fight starts, many might not understand or show much interest in the technical aspects of the fight.
Combat sports, whether it's boxing, wrestling, mixed martial arts, whatever the case may be. And if Jake Paul is doing a good job of filling local boxing gyms, it's, it's a little bit of what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
Brilliant. There's a thing, I'm not into the whole whatever else he's doing. Particularly on that bout, I don't think someone approaching 60 needs to be fighting. It would appear Jake hits hard. He's knocked out a few guys.
Kavanagh also mentioned that he believes the majority of the viewers are there for the entertainment aspect and suggested that the show should be made entertaining to cater to this audience. Kavanagh added, "I just think the majority of people watching this are going to be for the entertainment side of it, so put on an entertaining show." Recently, Oscar De La Hoya voiced his concerns, suggesting that while a bout between Paul and Tyson might attract attention to the sport, it wouldn't necessarily uphold boxing's ideal image. De La Hoya disapproved of the impending match and urged Paul to consider alternative paths. Conversely, Tyson Fury didn't dwell on the potential image implications of Paul versus Mike, but rather emphasized the significant exposure such a controversial fight would generate. "I think it's fantastic for boxing," said Fury. In contrast to the traditionalists in the boxing world who oppose the idea of Jake Paul squaring off against Mike Tyson, Fury holds a different perspective, seeing merit in the matchup between Mike and Jake. Moreover, the Gypsy King vehemently advocated for the bout, asserting that it would not only be lucrative, but also equitable. He said, "You've got a legend in Mike Tyson, and you've got a YouTube boxer who's come into the game and blew it up. He's got millions of followers, millions of views, and millions of eyes. Some people love him, some people hate it. So, I think it's a good spectacle for boxing. It brings a lot of people to the game." Along these lines, Fury explained why Paul versus Tyson would be a fair match. Fury added, "And listen, who am I to say Mike Tyson or Jake Paul shouldn't be boxing? Good luck to them. They're both gonna make a shit ton of money out of it. Isn't that what it's about?" Moreover, Fury praises AT&T Stadium as the perfect setting for Tyson's comeback bout against Jake Paul. Notably, with both fighters set to pocket substantial paydays, Fury questions, "What's not to like? The guy's 57, but he's the former undisputed heavyweight king. The other guy plays on his computer for a living and came into boxing a year ago. It's a pretty even match. From being a kid on the Disney Channel to fighting Mike Tyson, who wouldn't want to do that? People say it's shit, but I bet they still watch it." On the other hand, Dana White has taken another jab at Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson. This Monday, the head of the UFC playfully taunted Paul with a humorous poster depicting a potential bout against the legendary 93-year-old Hollywood icon, Clint Eastwood, once he finishes facing Tyson. The actor's son, Scott, originally posted the meme and tagged White in his caption. He wrote, "Ha ha ha ha, Dana White, this is a genius. We know that White has unequivocally voiced his stance on the Paul versus Tyson bout. The 54-year-old individual shares camaraderie with Tyson and dared to face potential backlash by openly expressing dissent towards the bout during a press conference following UFC 299. Talking about the upcoming fight, Dana White said,
I love Mike Tyson, personally as a friend, and he's one of my favorite athletes of all time. I don't know, let's see what he can go in there and put together a training camp and come in and, I don't like to see guys fighting it. Be a 31-year age difference during that fight, you guys know what I think of that stuff.
"We know that the much-anticipated showdown will be exclusively broadcasted on Netflix, promising an electrifying experience for fans worldwide." So, the UFC boss also talked about the fight being premiered on the streaming giant. He said,
"New development, right? Them getting into live sports. Obviously, you have a TV deal coming up soon."
I think that Netflix should have gotten into live sports years ago. I think they're late to the game, but they are a force. They're a force, man. And when you look at the amount of homes that they're in, worldwide.
While Dana White didn't hold back as he criticized the match arrangements, WBC President Mauricio Suleiman has shared his thoughts on Mike Tyson coming out of retirement to fight Jake Paul. The WBC supported Tyson versus Jones Jr., with the sanctioning body's president backing Iron Mike's fight against the problem child. Suleiman said, "I'm sure Mike is going about this responsibly. He's in very good shape. Mike Tyson is one of the greatest, iconic, and legendary champions. Jake Paul has come into boxing, and we must thank him and embrace him for bringing millions of young eyeballs to our sport." Suleiman expressed his confidence in Mike Tyson handling the situation responsibly and mentioned that Tyson is in excellent condition. He acknowledged Tyson as one of the greatest, most iconic, and legendary champions in boxing history. Suleiman added, "It's a fight and a real event. No one can certainly say Jake Paul will win because he's young. No one can say Mike Tyson will win because he's a legend, so it's interesting." He further remarked that the match is both a fight and a significant event, noting that it is uncertain who will win, Jake Paul because of his youth or Mike Tyson due to his legendary status, which adds to the intrigue. He further added, "I only pray it will be done with all the medicals, and everything is done with huge care, and it's going to be a great event. They will prepare fully for this." Suleiman also hoped that all medical precautions would be taken and that the event would be conducted with great care, emphasizing his desire for the event to be successful and for both parties to prepare thoroughly. However, Michael Bisping, the ex-UFC middleweight title holder, strongly criticized boxing influencer Jake Paul's choice to agree to a match against Mike Tyson.
We know that, okay? And we know it's laughable. It's a joke. Jake Paul should be ashamed of himself. And it is an embarrassment, okay? Don't worry, I've said my piece. I'm not going to go over it all again. But a doctor has come out and give a dire warning, said that there's a real potential for brain damage for Mike Tyson to partake in a professional boxing match at his age.
Bisping suggested that Paul should feel ashamed for agreeing to the match, especially considering the health risks involved. He highlighted a serious warning from a doctor concerning the potential for brain damage Tyson faces by participating in a professional boxing match at his age, which would be 58.
It's the war. 30 years older. I mean, come on, get a grip, Jake Paul. This is just embarrassing. What is Jake Paul going to do? Is he literally going to go out there and try and knock out Mike Tyson, a man that's almost 60, when you're 30 years younger? And what if Mike Tyson knocks him out? Talk about the end of the career. And I'll tell you what, he goes out there and knocks out Uncle Mike. He's not going to win any popularity contest.
Bisping continued his criticism by questioning what Paul intends to achieve in the match, asking if Paul plans to try to knock out Mike Tyson, who is nearly 60 years old despite being 30 years younger. In another video, Michael Bisping branded Paul as a laughingstock for opting to step into the ring with Tyson. He said, "Money makes the world go round, but Jake Paul has already made lots of money. He's made lots of money, and he talks about being a real fighter. That's where I have an issue." He also referred to an instance where Eddie Hearn, a well-known boxing promoter, challenged Paul by offering him a fight against an up-and-coming boxer, which Paul allegedly declined. Bisping criticized Paul for avoiding real challenges and instead opting for opponents he believes he can easily defeat. He added, "He talks about being one of the best ever, being the greatest, the champion of the world. He's a laughing stock." Eddie Hearn called him out on that back in the day, said, "I'll give you one of my guys who's up and coming, but he didn't want to do it, didn't want to fight him, didn't want to test himself. He's looking for people he knows he can beat." Moreover, Bisping swiftly aired his views on the bout as soon as it unfolded. He said, "Nah, fair play to Tyson. Hope he makes a shitload of dough. But what self-respecting fighter seeks out a contest with a 57-year-old legend when they are in their absolute prime? Make money, fair play, but stop with the legit boxer talk." Meanwhile, Rafael Cordeiro, the trainer of Mike Tyson, made a recent appearance on the MMA Hour to discuss concerns surrounding Tyson's comeback fight.
And then when we hear about Jake, I say, man, Mike can fight against anyone. I see with good eyes what I can see in the gym every single day. His energy, the way he put his strength is unbelievable. The people they have surrounded him, Mike can fight against anyone.
He decisively silenced doubters who questioned Tyson's ability to defeat Jake Paul on July 20th. He said, "I believe people don't have to be concerned about Mike Tyson's safety. You're talking about a guy who's a two-time world champ. The guy didn't have 20 fights in 2 years. He knows how to fight. He fought against the best guys in the world." Cordeiro confidently highlighted Tyson's past champion status, demonstrating unwavering faith in Tyson's ability to make a successful return to the ring at the age of 58. Tyson's coach emphasized that stepping into the ring is nothing new for Iron Mike, portraying the upcoming bout against Jake Paul as just another chapter in the illustrious career of the former two-time boxing world champion. He said, "When he steps inside the ring, he knows what to do. It's not something new for Mike, and this fight is not different." Discussions indicate that the unconventional match might receive approval from a governing body, marking Iron Mike's inaugural professional bout since his retirement in 2005. Notably, despite its exhibition status, it's evident that neither fighter will don headgear. With these updates in mind, fans express concerns about about Tyson's suitability for the fight, considering his age. To reassure them, in conversation with Ariel Helwani, the Brazilian trainer explained, Mike works hard every single day to go there and try his best to knock Jake out from the beginning to the end. Cordeiro stood steadfastly in the corner of the former heavyweight champion during his last showdown with Roy Jones Jr. in a 2020 exhibition bout. Now, as he gears up for another significant challenge, he once more seeks the guidance of that trusted trainer. Talking about the fight, he added, "This is his style. Nobody has to teach Mike Tyson how to fight. He's going to prove in July. He's still the same. You know you can see fire in his eyes when he plays. He is never going to be less than that. I truly believe it's going to be a great show." Ex-UFC and Strikeforce competitor Josh Thompson has voiced his thoughts on the buzz surrounding the potential bout between Jake Paul and Mike Tyson. At 45 years old, Thompson speculates that Tyson may have been enticed by a substantial payday, estimating a figure upwards of $20 million for the match against the problem child. He said, "What are you looking to accomplish outside of just money? It's a respectable thing. Learn how to respect the people that came before you, and this is just blatant disrespect." Nevertheless, Thompson hesitates to solely attribute Tyson's interest to financial gain, suggesting there may be more motivating factors at play. Josh Thompson contends that Iron has aspirations beyond mere wealth accumulation. He values respect. Having witnessed Jake Paul belittle numerous fighters with legitimate boxing backgrounds, the 45-year-old is convinced that Iron seeks to humble the YouTube sensation turned pugilist. He continued, "The fact that Mike just entertained this, I want to know why. I don't understand why. I mean, I don't think it's a money thing. I don't think it's that, but why? I don't get it. There's nothing to gain from this." Sean Strickland harbors an intense aversion towards Jake Paul. The ex-UFC title holder finds it intolerable that the American pugilist would dare to engage in combat with someone 30 years his senior, like Mike Tyson. With a barrage of cutting remarks, the MMA fighter unleashed a verbal tirade. But that's not all. He also delivered a stern caution to the problem child.
Schmo knows you wanted to spar with Jake Paul.
I wanted to murder Jake Paul, but it's bullshit, man. It's I mean, how old is Mike Tyson? 60?
57.
57. Jake Paul,
27.
You are a disgrace of a man.
He didn't hesitate to launch his own verbal onslaught against Paul. Strickland expressed his stark desire to dismantle Paul in the ring, expressing disdain for the YouTuber's transition into boxing. Adding to the intensity, the Anaheim native didn't shy away from admitting that if their paths crossed outside the ring, he wouldn't hesitate to inflict harm. Consequences be damned, even if it meant facing time behind bars.
You are the epitome of weakness. You are the scum of the earth. The fact that you even have a platform or anything of that nature is a slight on society.
Strickland's ongoing criticism of the Cleveland-born Paul is nothing new. He has repeatedly taken aim at Paul's selection of opponents and his perceived lack of respect for the sport. Just recently, during Paul's victorious bout against Ryan Borland, Strickland didn't hesitate to unleash his verbal shots once again. However, he is now bashing him for fighting against Tyson.
You truly make me fucking disgusted. And if I ever encounter you in real life, I hope that I just don't lose my shit and go to prison.
On the other hand, Jake Paul has come under fire from supporters who accuse him of fabricating a replica of Mike Tyson's legendary snapshot with a pet tiger in anticipation of their impending bout. Meanwhile, Jake Paul has been responding to criticism by underscoring Tyson's enduring legacy, yet specifics regarding weight class, duration of rounds, and bout regulations remain unconfirmed. Indications imply it will probably unfold as a heavyweight clash devoid of headgear protection. Paul said, "He's the greatest heavyweight of all time, the most vicious KO artist ever. But I'm younger, I'm faster, and I'm going to be working my ass off to get stronger. A member of my team sent me this video that Mike's coach put up 2 weeks ago and asked me if I'm sure that I want to do this. Yes, I do. Heavyweight." Regardless of individual stances, the bout between Jake Paul and Mike Tyson is poised to be one of the most talked about events in recent memory, reflecting broader trends and tensions within the world of sports. So that's all from today's video. If you enjoyed it, remember to leave a like, subscribe, and ring that bell icon so you never miss our upcoming videos.